Most people imagine the tabernacle as a simple tent in the desert. But what was built there was not simple. It was impossible. In the middle of sand and silence, without technology, without infrastructure, gold had to be melted at temperatures exceeding 1,000 degrees. And it melted. Nothing there could fail. The materials were precious. The work was dangerous. The people were ordinary. Every measurement followed exactly the model God showed Moses on the mountain. No improvisation. No shortcuts. No margin for error. Because this was not just a tent. It would be the dwelling place of the Creator of the universe in the heart of the desert. When God revealed the tabernacle to Moses, He did not merely show dimensions, shapes, or materials. He revealed a heavenly pattern, a design Moses saw with his own eyes, a model that had to be reproduced with absolute fidelity. But the people waiting at the foot of the mountain were not master craftsmen. They were former slaves. For generations, their hands had known only clay, straw, and bricks. Not gold, not silver, not sacred fabrics. Scripture tells us that God called Bezalel by name. Out of thousands, God chose one man, and then did something extraordinary. He filled him with His Spirit, granting him wisdom, understanding, knowledge, and skill in every kind of craftsmanship. But one man could not build the tabernacle alone. So God also appointed Oholiab, and together they were given something just as important as skill, the ability to teach. Men worn down by Egyptian bondage began learning to carve wood, shape metal, weave fabric, and prepare dyes. Hands once scarred by slavery learned precision. They were no longer slaves. They were builders of a living sanctuary. And then came the fire. God commanded that many sacred objects be made of pure gold. Gold only becomes liquid at extreme heat, far beyond an ordinary flame. How could this be done in the desert? The answer began long before Sinai. For 400 years in Egypt, the Hebrews had witnessed advanced metallurgy, pottery, and construction. Even as servants, they absorbed knowledge. But knowledge alone was not enough. There was no hardwood, no coal, no furnaces. Then God used what the desert did have, acacia wood. That twisted, thorny tree concealed a secret. When converted into charcoal, it burned hotter and longer than ordinary wood. Clay furnaces were formed directly in the sand. Leather bellows forced air into the flames. The fire intensified. The work was brutal. Blazing desert heat. Dry air burning the lungs. Furnaces roaring nearby. Tools were held with thick cloths. Water evaporated quickly. Molten metal splashed without mercy. And still, the fire had to burn for hours. Among all the objects, one demanded absolute perfection, the golden lampstand. God commanded it be made from one single piece of gold. Not welded, not assembled, hammered and shaped from a single mass, nearly 35 kilograms. One miscalculation, one crack, and the entire process had to begin again. Former slaves stood before impossible fire, being shaped just as the gold was shaped. The metal transformed by heat. The people transformed by obedience. While gold was forged in flame, another work progressed slowly and silently, the structure itself. The framework was made from acacia wood. Crooked, thorny, unimpressive. Yet God chose it because it would not rot, warp, or decay. It could survive the desert, just as the people would. Each plank stood over 4 meters tall. Each had exact measurements. No deviation allowed. 48 identical planks. Each took days of brutal labor. And when completed, every plank was overlaid with gold. The common became sacred. The unseen became glorious. But the tabernacle had no foundation. It was mobile. How could towering gold-covered boards stand on shifting sand? God's answer was silver. Each plank rested in solid silver bases, each weighing about 35 kilograms. Movable foundations, perfectly fitted, balanced by weight and precision alone. No nails, no anchors, only design. Golden crossbars bound everything together, turning the structure into a single unified body, a modular system centuries ahead of its time. For 40 years, it was assembled and dismantled, never warped, never failed. Then came the fabrics. Fine linen, blue, purple, crimson, colors rarer than silver. Cherubim woven directly into the fabric, not embroidered, but structurally formed. Women in the desert planned patterns before a single thread was spun. One miscount, and the design would collapse. From the outside, the tabernacle looked ordinary. From the inside, it looked like heaven. Then came the priestly garments. Not decoration, protection. To enter God's presence incorrectly was fatal. The breastplate bore 12 engraved stones, each carved by hand. The bells on the robe were a sign of life. As long as they rang, the priest lived. On his forehead, a gold plate read, "Holiness to the Lord." Finally, the day came. The tabernacle was raised. Silver bases set, golden planks lifted, fabric spread, the ark placed, the lampstand lit. Then the question remained, would God accept it? Silence fell, and then the cloud descended, so dense that even Moses could not enter. The tent was no longer a human project. It was an inhabited dwelling. For 40 years, the cloud guided Israel. When it moved, they moved. When it rested, they stopped. The tabernacle was never the final plan. It was temporary, mobile, for a people in transition. It pointed forward, to the temple and beyond. How did a tent in the desert become the most extraordinary structure of its time? That story continues in the next video. Subscribe and turn on notifications to follow the next biblical revelation.